Who knows the year? Do you know the year that America became America, Isaac?
1776.
Very good. Okay, yes.
Well, 1776, July 4th.
Right. Okay. Now, before it was America, who was in charge? Isaac, do you know?
King George the third or fourth.
Yeah, I don't remember which number
The
either,
third,
but it was
yeah.
King George. It was the third? Okay, Ben says it was the third, so. All right. So now I've got a question. So if you have a king, who makes the laws?
The king.
The king does, right? The king makes the laws. And what if the laws are bad? Whose fault is that?
The king's, but it don't really go against him because he rules.
Right, so he can make bad laws and nothing happens because he's the king. Sometimes, what if you're a really, really bad king? What might happen to you?
You'll be dethroned.
Yep, your own people might revolt against you and start a war, and lots of people will die, but maybe you kick the king out, okay? So if you have a king, that's how laws get made. The king makes them, and he's responsible for them. And sometimes you have unjust laws, okay? Do we have a king in America?
No,
No.
we have a president.
Okay, well, we do have a president, but how do laws get made in America? Does anybody know? Ben, what do you
The
say?
people.
Well, kind of. Yes, that's true. I like that. But Isaac, and then Kevin?
So we have the Senate,
Mm-hmm.
the
House of Representatives.
House of Representatives,
And we have
the White House.
Yes. And they also have a Supreme Court. Okay, so those are all involved in making the laws. Well, so the Senate and the House make the laws, and the President enforce the laws, and the courts make sure the laws are constitutional. Okay, yeah.
Well, that's kind of what I was going to say, except pretty much everyone from each state meets up at one place and they discuss about the law. And then,
In their state.
yeah.
And what about in the county? Do we have the same thing in the county? We do, kind of. And then in the city, there's a city council. And if you have, in Arizona, they have these things called homeowners associations, and you may even meet together with your neighbors and make some rules. Yes, Isaac?
And but if you do it in a city, it's an ordinance, not a law.
Okay, very good. So now, all right, so remember if you're the king, if there's a king, who's responsible for bad laws?
The king.
The king. Okay, who's responsible for bad laws in America?
President?
Everybody.
Everybody, pretty much. Yeah, Isaac, are you going to add to that?
But we never get bad laws because there's a balance of power. So there's not one person deciding. You have like 500 people deciding.
Ooh, okay, I'm going to tell you about a law, okay? This is a law in America. In Utah, a long time ago, they had a really good idea. And their really good idea was to let women vote. Does that sound like a good idea? Yeah, that's a good idea. So then you know what law they passed? The federal government?
That women can vote?
Nope. They passed a law that said, nope, no more women voting in Utah. We don't want women to vote in Utah.
What?
No, it's real. Believe it.
I think that's
So are laws always good, even when the people make them? No.
Well, we're the exact opposite of the Indian government.
Okay, hold on, guys. So the topic for today is our rights and responsibilities as citizens of the United States and as citizens in general. Yeah.
There's actually 3 branches
Mm-hmm.
that decide that. I don't remember the names, but I know the president is the last branch and he decides. And he decides that.
Congressman.
Yeah, he makes sure that the laws are followed. Okay, so let's think about you. Okay. So what is your job? So think about it. If you're in a country like our country, where the people, we vote for people who make the laws, but ultimately we're responsible for the laws. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. It's indirect, but we have a representative. It's called a representative republic, but we vote for people who make laws. So it's up to us. And when you guys are 18, you'll be able to vote, and it'll be up to you too. So, what do you think your responsibilities are as someone who votes? Or what's something that you should do? Yeah, Ben.
Don't make it your own choice. don't ask your friend, hey, who'd you vote for? Oh, Obama. Oh, that's who I'm gonna vote for too.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That's right. You
yeah.
need to be responsible for your own choice on who to vote for in an election. Yeah.
Well, why do you have to be 18?
It's a good question. It used to be you had to own land, but they got rid of land. And it used to be you had to be male, and they got rid of that. So now you have to be 18, and maybe someday that'll change. But for right now, it's 18 partly because they want adults to vote. But maybe that'll change. Someday they'll have a law and maybe let kids vote too.
That'd
Yes,
be a good
Isaac.
idea.
Wait,
Yeah.
so how much, so when you had to own land, exactly how much land did you have to own?
Not very much, which is why America and England got in a fight. Because England said, oh, land is free in America, that's not good enough. And they said, oh, wait a minute. Okay. So we have a responsibility to think carefully about who we vote for. What about the laws that exist? What if there's laws that people make? Do we have a responsibility to obey the law? We do. In fact, there's something called the rule of law. And it's the idea that a society functions best when people obey the law collectively as a society instead of disobey the law. So you can imagine a society where nobody keeps the laws, that it doesn't really matter if you have laws, and then it's who's ever strongest and meanest maybe gets everything. Okay, so one responsibility we have living in a society where we make the laws is that we need to obey the laws that we make. And we need to vote for people who will make good choices and make good laws. Now, what are some rights that we get? If we live, where we talked about the responsibilities, what about rights? What are some rights we have as citizens of the United States? Yes, Ben?
We can, well, that women can vote.
Okay, well, so in general, it's not just women, right? So we have the right to vote on things. And in some states, you can vote on specific laws. In other states, you just vote on representatives, but we vote. So we participate in our government. And every 2 years or 4 years, people get reelected for things. 6 years. Okay, so we vote. Anything else that we get, or rights that we have?
How about your freedom of
Speech.
Mhm.
Yes,
So
well,
we
that
have
one,
a
that's
right to speak
protected.
out about political things, that we can't be prevented from trying to change our government for the better. Do we have the right to have some privacy? Can the government just come in and look at whatever they want whenever they want and
Search your house.
search your house?
Well, sorta, but
You have to have they have to have a searcher's license
Warrant.
from the
Yeah.
Senate,
pretty much.
from the
But the
representative.
thing is,
Mhm.
like if you're a wanted fugitive, then and you're hiding out in a house and they find you, then they have rights to do it. But
Yep.
honestly,
But they can't,
otherwise-
yeah, that's right. But if they can't come into the house and come get the fugitive unless they think he's there and the judge says it's okay.
Unless they
You can't just kick in everyone's door and is the fugitive in here? Is the fugitive in here? That's not how it works. Yeah, and for good reason. We have a right to feel safe in our homes. That's part of it. Yeah, but
What if they know the fugitive is there?
yeah, then they get the judge to say it's okay, go in there, and then they go in there and get him. And that happens. So, what about, let's see, so we said freedom of speech. We have a right to not be randomly searched. Do we have a right, can the government say, hey, here's a bunch of soldiers, you need to feed them and put them in your bedrooms and take care of them until we say they get to go?
Not
No.
anymore.
Not anymore, but that's what England tried to do, and that's what made America really mad. One of those
Actually,
things.
that's what we did.
Oh,
Yep.
and there's one other thing that's kind of connecting to bashing down your door.
Mhm,
Like, pretend there's a war going on in your city,
mhm.
and then a bunch of soldiers need to come and hide, otherwise they'll be killed. Even if they're from the other country.
Yeah, that's an interesting situation.
Yeah,
That's kind of what you can.
because if they're from our country, then they have American rights to do that, but if they're not from our country, what happens?
Yeah,
There are people.
well, we don't usually have soldiers from other countries that are here, because if they're here and they're friendly, then they probably have a place to be on a military base or something, and if they're here and they're not friendly, then we probably should try to stop them instead of just taking care of them.
Basically, like just a refugee camp.
Well, that's That's part of the rights too, is that as in America, we have the right to defend ourselves.
And
So it's
other
the Second
countries
Amendment.
that are in danger, yeah.
Okay, so we have a bunch of rights that are in the Bill of Rights, but we have more rights than are just in the Bill of Rights. But so there's things that we get because we live in a free society, right? If you have a king, he makes all the rules and takes care of everything, and you don't have to worry about it. But then he can take whatever he wants from you, and you can't say anything about it because
Yeah.
he's the king. We're blessed because we have all of the rights that we get from being in America, but it also means that we need to do the responsibilities. So what happens if we don't do the responsibilities? What if we don't vote for people who make good choices, and what if we don't follow the laws? What's going to happen? What's going to happen to our society? Ben, what do you think?
We're just gonna go crashing down, or or if there's like a president that's not doing the right thing, they'll like overrule the president. If he president like makes a speech to convince you, and then if he breaks the speech that the promise and the speech that he told you, and he does bad things and like make laws that like you can kill anyone you want whenever you want.
That would be a free,
Right, that-
peace like heaven.
Yeah, no, right. So right. Think about could your dad have a job if everyone was just killing everybody else and just stealing stuff? You couldn't have
No.
a job. Could you be a farmer? What if you had a farm? What if you had a farm? What would happen?
Well, technically,
Everyone would just burn down your crops.
They'd burn your crops or steal it or kill your animals, or no one could have anything, and everything would just fall. So it's very important that
not
we.
really if we had a high-tech security system. But
Well, maybe, but so good point.
yeah.
Those things are really, really expensive. So that's what happens if you have a society where nobody follows the laws. Then some things are still okay, but it's way harder. So I'll give you an example. So in some countries, people don't follow the laws very well, and they steal a lot. And so what happens is,
And they
if you
kill
have a
too.
house, you have to have someone home all the time. So do you guys ever leave your house empty with no one living there?
Yeah.
We do all the time. The kids go to school and we go to the YMCA and no one's in our house. But there's some countries where you can't do that because it would just everything would get stolen. So someone has to be at the house the whole time. And so it's like you were saying, it's a security system.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's annoying. It's a lot of work having someone at your house all day and all night, no matter what. You can never think about it. You could never be together as a family in a restaurant.
You
because
can
someone has to be at the house.
never go visit your cousins and your grandma. And
Well,
never
technically,
could.
that'd be kind of easy for my family because all day my mom is sleeping. And
Well,
then
you
so
guys
she
have a
could guard
tough
the house,
household.
so-
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would
but-
work okay for you guys, but Isaac
then-
and Ben might be in trouble.
No, then all night we're sleeping.
You have a dog?
So, yeah, we have a dog.
Okay.
So technically someone
We
is
gotta feed the dog. All right. Well, we're getting to the end of it. So the point is that we know as scouts that we have responsibilities to living in a free society, and that we need to live up to them honorably. And if we do that, then the society you live in will be a good society and not a bad society, and the laws will be just, and we will love living in our society instead of be miserable and unhappy and or angry. So yes, Isaac.
I think it might be a little interesting if